Hey, Gary Baker here with PublisherReport.com. Today I was having a little fun, as you see here on the screen, playing around with dot-to-dots. You can see here this is a narwhal image that I've created a dot-to-dot out of. Three different types of images that I've sort of created just to sort of have a play around and see what I can create. And I'm going to show you the tool that I used to make this and where you can get access to that. But before we do that, I wanted to take a look at Amazon and just take a look at some competition for dot-to-dot animals. As you can see right here, I was searching for dot-to-dot animals. About 8,000 results in the all category. But as you can see, there's lots of different flavors of dot-to-dots here, as far as super complicated, not so complicated, for kids, for adults. Lots of ways to really think about this when you're looking at how to create dot-to-dots, to include like this one, the ultimate dot-to-dot extreme puzzle challenges. And you can see that has a BSR right there of 7,390. This one has a BSR of 2,268, dot-to-dot books for kids. So enough of that looking inside of Amazon, but that was sort of where I got the idea. And of course, when you're doing research, when you get these ideas, then you need to actually know, okay, now I have an idea for a book I would like to create. Where do I actually find these images? And if I can't find them, how can I make them very easily? Of course, easily and simply, because that's what it's all about here at Publisher Report, and that's my mission, is to show you the tools and the resources that I use all around the idea of self-publishing simplified, right? So what I'm going to show you today is a group that I'm a member of. It's called Puzzle Publishers. Actually, it's more than just a group. There is a Facebook group, but it's more of a community based around the tools or the software that you see right here. Of course, there's training, and you can see the software as well as templates you can download when you join Puzzle Publishers. But we're going to focus here on the software. We're going to jump into the software, and I'm going to show you how I did those dot-to-dots. Of course, these dot-to-dots that I have right here, when you get inside the software, you can see there's Search It, Find It, Simply Maze Crazy. And of course, I talk about these tools as well as a complete review here on the channel. So you can go ahead and check that out. I'll leave a link in the description. But what we're focused on here is this tool today, dot-to-dot crazy. So we'll go ahead and we'll open that and click Access Now. That'll open up the tool right here. I'll scroll down and you can see the full tool. You have the ability to load outline, image, load an inner image. Then you have the ability to zoom and do image transparency. And I'm just going to show you how this works. But before we do that, we need an image. And if you need an image, my favorite place to grab images is Creative Fabrica. Of course, it's probably best if you have your own image, so you can outsource those, or if you are an artist, you could, of course, make your own line art very easily if you have the capability of drawing. If you have that skill or talent, fantastic. Go ahead, draw a quick image, make a nice line image, create a PNG. Like the one you see right here, we'll go ahead and we'll open that. And you can see this is the narwhal image with a transparent background. All we're going to do is go back into Puzzle Publishers and we're going to load that outline image. And you can see it brought that image in right there. And again, you can play with the image transparency, bring it all the way up to 100% or bring it down. And you're going to see how this impacts the design when you put this all together. Of course, after you load the outline image, you can go straight into creating dots. You can see you can change the number of dots right here to make it complicated or less complicated. Of course, that's going to depend on the image. So this image is probably going to need about 24, 25 dots. And you go ahead and you simply just create dots, and we'll cover all these in a second. But you simply just create the dots, and you can see it does its best to outline the image. And then once you have that, you just start moving these dots around to get them where you want them. Of course, I'll go ahead and I'll do this real quick. Then after you space out the dots, you can see here that I have the number 1. I think I want to start the number 1 at the tip of the horn. And as you can see here, there's a gap here or a straight line between 24 and 21. All you need to do is come on 24. And I'm using my mouse and I'm just going to double click, and you can see it added a new dot, which is 25. And if I want to kind of get a rounded feature there, I just click it again and I'm double clicking that just on my left mouse button. And then now you can see that 26 is covered up. You can easily just grab the numbers and move them. So you can see here how I can move the numbers as well. Then you have the ability to scale the dots. Of course, that makes the dots super big. That would probably be more for kids. And then, of course, you can scale the dots down if the image was bigger or you don't like them at the scale they were at. Pick a scale that works for you and you're good to go. Here you have the ability to turn off the numbers, so if you don't want numbers, you just wanted dots. Here you can actually turn off the dots. Here you can change them to clockwise or counterclockwise when you actually create them, and you can also turn off and on detect edges to create the dots. And then you have this feature here called Magic Eraser, and I'm going to show you what that does by removing the line. See the line that I removed right there? I'll click it again. You can see the line that was created to actually control the dots. Of course, if I move this out, you can see what I'm talking about. See how this line is actually connected to the dots to give you a guide. If you remove that line, you can see that line is now gone. And then if I add it back in, you can see that I can move it in. The reason that this line is important is because it gives you the ability to use what's called the Magic Eraser. I'll go ahead and remove the line. And then you can see right here that that line, what it has done is once it's traced, then it gives you the ability to actually just erase that outer edge. And then you can see the type of image that I created earlier, where I created a very neat image with just the eye and the mouth and maybe the little fin here or the start of the fin for the narwhal. And then what you do is you just simply click download. That downloads that PNG right there that you just created. Then of course when you open that, it'll be in a transparent background, and that's why it looks black right there on the screen, but you can see the original narwhal. And then when you go back to something like Canva, you can see that that's the image that I created right there. This image is a little less transparent, and simply because I went ahead and adjusted the transparency in the tool. Of course, that's the inner or the outline image. So right there, you can see that I can control that by taking that down if you didn't want it as bright, or if you wanted it to go brighter or as bright as possible. So all that's controllable right here inside of the tool. Now the inner image, I'm going to show you the inner image and how that works. It's a little different, but what that does is give you a little more control. And you can see here that I created this image that would be a good trace image for smaller kids. That way, if they don't have the ability to count the numbers or they just want to connect the dots, they can trace the line, because as you can see here, it's a very light image. Here I just did a complete lightening of the inner image, but down here you can see I have an inner image that is dark and an outer image that is light to allow that same tracing effect. Again, when you're doing your research on Amazon, depending on the type of book that you're targeting or the type of audience that you're targeting, whether it be adults or kids 8 to 4 or kids a little younger, again, that may not be able to count, that's why you get the idea here that you can create these images with this small trace outline, as well as create this inner image that's a little darker, and I'm going to show you that inside of the tool. So here to delete this, we'll just go ahead and we'll delete everything to include the dots, and we'll start over. We'll load an outline image. That'll be the same image, and then of course the inner image will be the exact same image. And then they will just literally lay on top of each other right there. You can see that they're lined up perfectly on top of each other. And now what you're doing is you're controlling the transparency of the outline image. So if you bring them both all the way up and then you change the inner image, you can see here, well, that was the zoom. You can see that that changed the zoom image. The image transparency here, you can see is going to change. If I move the inner image and the outer image, you can see here how they're changing. You can see that I can increase the inner image, and I also can control the outer image. So what you could do is, in this case, to get these when they overlay, if you just want the inner and outer image, you want the inner image that I'm moving right now to be the line image that you're going to use for the trace. But what you have is you have the outline image, the image that's not moving, the static image, that you need to use as the eye and the mouth and the part of the fin here. So there's another tool here, right here inside of Puzzle Publishers, that you can simply just open inside the software. And when you scroll down, it's called the Daisy Editor. And inside the Daisy Editor, what it does, it has two functions. It allows you to draw and erase. So what we're going to do is load that narwhal image. And at this point, we're just going to erase this outer edge right here that you see right here. We'll just quickly erase this. And then of course, when we get to this point, that's going to be a little too big, so we change the size of our eraser. And then you simply just use your mouse. Of course, the mouse is off screen, and I'm just holding down the left mouse button, and I'm just erasing the outer edge that I want to erase right there. Again, erasing the outer edge because that's going to be the nice highlighted image right there. And it comes all the way up here. We'll leave that. And then what you can do is you can download that as a PNG. And now what you do is you open that. And now you can see what you've created in the Daisy editor is going to be the outer image. And we're going to use the inner image and we're going to play with that transparency. So we're going to go back to software. Scroll back down to .crazy, and then when the canvas loads inside of .crazy, you're going to load the outline image, and that outline image is going to be that image right there. You're going to bring up the transparency. The inner image is going to be that image that we edited inside the Daisy editor. You can see there it comes in super big. It's just as simple as zooming that back in to make them the same size. Marry them up right there. They're married up. And now what you're doing is you're playing with that image transparency, and you see the outline image, you see it fading away right there. You can make it as light as you want or as dark as you want right there. Now see how you have that, just that slight trace. Again, it's easier to see when I show you the images side by side. That's why I made these three, so you can see the transparencies as well as the effect. You can see here that this is a complete light trace image that I just control with a single image. This is the inner and the outer image that you see right here that I'm going to show you in a second. And you can see how I made this dot to dot, that it's not a full dot to dot, but a traceable dot to dot with that light image. Go back to .crazy, and you can see right there, there's the image I created. And then to select the dots, here if you wanted to go clockwise or counterclockwise, you would just change this. Clockwise is the default. You can of course change it. Click create dots, and then again there it just changed the order. I'll go ahead and delete the dots and show you that again. This is the clockwise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll go ahead and delete those dots. Select clockwise. You'll see now it's counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, literally the hands of the clock in which direction it's going. Then again, you have the ability to show the dots or not show the dots, show the numbers or not show the numbers. Let me show you this detect edge right quick. Go ahead and delete that. Turn off detect edges and create dots. You'll see it literally just makes the dots around in a circle. And then you could easily just move these down as you wanted. If this is easier, and sometimes it is on images like this, where it gets super crowded, then you simply just go ahead and you just move your dots where you want them. Again, just like we did. So I'll just complete this right quick. And there you have the image. Take note here if you wanted to delete a dot. For example, if I was to double click here and add an additional dot, and then that was too many dots right there, so this dot number 20, I would simply right click on my mouse and it would delete that dot. So you have full control over the number of dots and the way you want to work them. And again, you can move these numbers right here to make the dots and put the dots where you want. And you simply just download the image. You can also control whether you want the outline image. So you could take away the outline image, you could take away the lines. So now you can see the outline image is gone, which is the trace that we created. You can put it back. So in this case, you can save yourself some time and some work by creating an image here. If you wanted a trace image, you have both the trace image and you also can take away the trace image. So basically you have a 2-for-1 here where you can just download either one or the other or both. Again, I'll click that outline image. You can also get rid of the inner image, and you can see now that it's fully transparent that I showed you a second ago. So again, you have the ability to download multiple images by controlling the inner and the outer image as well as the lines when you go ahead and you select download PNG. Of course, that downloads right there. Click open. That opens up the image and you can see the image right there. Then you simply just go back to Canva. In this case, we'll go ahead and we'll add a new page. It's a blank page. We'll upload. We'll upload from device. We'll upload the image we just created. And once that image is uploaded, you simply select it. And then you see you have a fully adjustable PNG that you can play with right there inside of Canva or any other tool that you use to make your books or your printables or whatever it is that you're creating. And you can see you have a nice, cool dot-to-dot narwhal. And that's all done inside of Puzzle Publishers right here. Crazy, of course, the software includes all these other softwares to include the software we used right there called the Daisy Editor to do the erasing. If you'd like to know more about the tools here, go ahead and watch the video you see right here on the screen, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.